What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and as of yesterday, not only did the Red Sox sweep the Athletics, not only did they get to 500 on the year, but they also secured sole possession of the third wild card spot, meaning that if the season were to end today, the Red Sox are a playoff team. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to talk about the entire Athletics series, everything that happened in there, and we're going to go over what steps are next. The Red Sox have officially hit a couple of milestones, so what do they do after that? But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on these videos as well. If you are newly subscribed or currently subscribed, it is the best way to help out this channel, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. We can start on either side of the ball for this recap. Both sides were fantastic, but I'm going to start with the offense just because who doesn't like homers? And speaking of homers, we have to start with Xander Bogaerts because in this series, he became the Red Sox player with the most starts at shortstop in Red Sox history. Sounds like the type of guy you'd want to keep around this team for a while. I'm just saying. But anyways, in that same game where he tied the most amount of starts, he also hit a solo home run and an RBI double. So a pretty decent series from Xander, but the MVP of this series has to go to Franchy Cordero, and Franchy has been a ton of fun to watch lately. He had a RBI double in game 1. He had RBIs in every single game as well, and a mammoth home run in game 3. So definitely looking forward to seeing what Franchy can do as he progresses here on this Red Sox team. And in this series, he wins Red Seat MVP. But a close second was Rafael Devers because Rafael Devers had a really similar stat line to Franchy Cordero. He had an RBI double, he had an RBI in every single game, and he had a home run in game 3. Pretty eerily similar stuff. And honestly, at this point, I'm expecting Rafael Devers to do things this summer that we have never seen Rafael Devers do, which is saying a lot because Rafael Devers has done a ton. But I'm talking about AL MVP candidate stuff from Rafi coming up this summer. I'm super excited to see what he does during July and August. We also have to talk about Alex Verdugo, who may or may not be the most unlucky player in all of baseball. If there is a guy who is the most due player in all of the MLB, it's Alex Verdugo. He did have a good game in game 2 of that series. He had a couple of RBI doubles, and he threw in a few singles throughout this series as well. But if you take a look at his Baseball Savant page and you go through all the projected stats, he should be one of the best left fielders in all of baseball, but he's just simply super unlucky. We also need to talk about Trevor Story too, who we've been talking about a little bit in the past couple of series about cooling off, and he's definitely still cooled off, but he's still contributing to the team, which is really nice to see. In game 1 and game 2, he had RBI doubles. Regardless of whether or not he's hitting 50 home runs a week or whatever crazy stat line he put up that week, he's still contributing to this team. And all in all, the offense in general, every single person on the offensive side of the ball contributed to run production in this series. It was exactly what we needed and what we were kind of lacking in the last couple of series was everyone producing for the Red Sox. My hope is that this time around, they're more consistent with their run production, especially going into the next series, which we will talk about in a second. But one more thing I do want to highlight before we go into the pitching side of things is Jarren Duran, because Jarren Duran came up and replaced Jackie Bradley Jr., who had his third kid this week. So shout out Jackie Bradley for that. That's congratulations. But Jarren Duran, when he comes up, he is a completely different player than we saw last year. His approach is much simpler at the plate, and he really looks like he's enjoying himself on the field. In fact, in the 3 games that he's been up here, and I know that's a really small sample size, he's hitting at a clip of 302 with an OPS plus of 128. So he has been an above average player by a pretty decent margin, not a crazy margin or anything, when he's been up here. And I'm thinking maybe it's about time we make a video about whether or not Duran should be on this team full time. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. Do you want me to dive deep into that conversation? Anyways, let's get into the pitching in this series. The starting pitching in this series was stellar. Nate Eovaldi got the ball in game 1, and he had one of his best outings of the year. He went 6 innings, struck out 8, and allowed no earned runs. But more importantly than all of that, he didn't let up a home run. And the A's aren't exactly a prolific power hitting team or anything, but he has been bit by the home run bug in almost every single one of his starts this year. So it was really nice to see him go out there and do what he did last year, which was pound the zone, not allow a ton of hits, and definitely not allow a ton of home runs. Obviously, he's still been the ace and the workhorse for this team, but that home run bug has really gotten to him this year so far. So it was nice to see. In game 2, we got Nick Pivetta, who might genuinely be the best pitcher on the Red Sox right now. He's definitely at least in the conversation between him, Waka, Valdi. Got some relievers you could throw in there too. But his performance has been stellar lately. He had another great performance, going 7 innings, striking out 7, and not allowing a single earned run either. And he is officially morphing into the player that I think we all wanted him to be going into 2022. And he's starting to look like a really, really solid number 2 pitcher in this rotation. Even Rich Hill had a great start in this series. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 earned run, struck out 5. And after a couple of pretty rough starts for Rich Hill, this was a good sign to see. I still don't love him in this rotation right now, but it was great to see him have a really on game. As for the bullpen, they did their job, right? Usually when the Red Sox sweep series like this, that's all I have to say about the bullpen, because when we're losing series and we're losing games in series, most of the time it has something to do with the bullpen, but the bullpen did their job, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that none of these games were ever like super close when the bullpen got brought in, so that might be part of it, but they also were pretty good. They got a decent amount of strikeouts, and one guy I do want to highlight from the bullpen is John Schreiber, because he had 2 outings in this series where he allowed no earned runs, and I want your guys' thoughts on whether or not we should give Schreiber a shot at the closing position. He's usually a guy who comes out and doesn't pitch more than 1 inning. He's pretty electric with his stuff, and I think, in my opinion, he could be a pretty decent closer for this Red Sox team. Let me know what your thoughts are on that down below. But all in all, the bullpen was as good as we could expect, doing their job and securing wins. The starting pitching continues to be one of the best parts of this Red Sox team right now. And more importantly, what goes on after this? Because yes, you hit 500, but you're going into a series where you're facing the team that is directly behind you in this wild card race. They have lost 11 games in a row. And so for me, the next steps for this Red Sox team is to take advantage of a crumbling Los Angeles Angels. Take this series, whether you only win 3, whether you win 4, take this series and secure your spot in the wild card standings. After that, in my opinion, your goal should be to try and catch up to either the Blue Jays or the Rays, because believe it or not, we're only 4 games back of that 3rd and 2nd spot in the standings. So while it is important and it should be celebrated that the Red Sox have hit 500 and are officially in the wild card spot, there's a lot of season left and there's a lot of work to still be done. But for now, let's celebrate the fact that these guys pulled themselves out of the ashes, got to 500, got into a wild card spot, and let's worry about the Angels tonight, tomorrow, the next 4 days, and go from there. Let me know what your thoughts are on this team down below. What did you think of this series? What do you think of them going forward? What do you think needs to be adjusted, changed? Let me know what your thoughts are on Duran and Schreiber. Let me know everything and anything you're thinking about the Sox right now down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of these videos, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on these videos as well. It is the best way to help this channel out, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.